This is a subject that I thought was kind of interesting, so I figured I'd cover it. The rise of the female predators is kind of weird to see what direction society is taking. But let's get into it. And before we get started, check out Law and Crime Sidebar with Jesse Weber. The link will be in the description.
So obviously, given what's happened, I know you've been sent home from school today. So you are under arrest at the moment.
The issue of teachers sexually abusing their young, vulnerable students is not just a problem here in the United States. No, schools all over the world deal with it, and in a recent case from the UK, it's making global headlines. We're taking a closer look at the case of Rebecca Joins with former sex crimes prosecutor Serena Townsend. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. A British teacher, now 30 years old, cried in a Manchester courtroom as she was sentenced to 6.5 years in prison for sexually abusing two teenage boys and becoming pregnant by one of them. As if all the stories that we've been covering here in the United States about educators abusing.
Before we go on, I just want to say this. It's if you're the pregnancy part is just throwing me off. I mean, it's bad enough that you're doing predatory actions, but then to get pregnant by one of the students whom you were dealing with, or one of the children whom you were dealing with, you're now linked to that kid for life. Like, who wants to have to deal with that? And not to even factor in the trauma that the kid has to go through regardless of the fact. That's insane.
Abusing or allegedly abusing their own students wasn't so bad. Now we're going abroad. So in 2021, Rebecca Joins was caught on security footage inside of a high-end store buying a Gucci belt for a 15-year-old boy. The high school math teacher allegedly bought the $450 belt as a way to groom the boy for what would come next.
All right, so I know I just paused it, but I got to say this. So what is going on with everybody talking about 50-50 relationships and nobody wants to pay for anybody and all this good stuff? But then you have adult women going and finding children who can't afford to do anything with you, much less pay for you, and then having intercourse with them. That is wild. Like, that defeats the whole purpose of the argument. Like, what do you guys make of this? Let me know in the comments. This is crazy.
What I mean by that is she drove the teen to her flat, where the two were seen on camera walking into the complex. According to prosecutors, they then had sex twice. The teen messaged a friend over Snapchat to tell him that he'd just had sex with Miss Joins. When the friend didn't believe him, he apparently secretly took a photo of her and sent it.
That's crazy.
Now, that was on a Friday. By Monday, word about the encounter,
they're teenage boys. Like, what you expect?
The boy's mother had found a hickey on his neck, prompting her to head to
the school.
That's
not funny.
Joins was sent home, and Greater Manchester Police showed up at her door.
So obviously, given what's happened, I know you've been sent home from school today. So you are under arrest at the moment on suspicion of sexual activity with a child. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention one question, something which you later rely in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence.
How's it gone so far since?
So the necessity for the arrest is obviously to protect the vulnerable and for prompt and effective investigation. So obviously you are under caution. You will be given obviously your chance to say everything at the station. But obviously for the time being you're under arrest. So
she was released on bail, but ordered not to have contact with any children under 18. She was also suspended from her job. But unbelievably, not only did she not follow any of those parameters, she apparently pursued a relationship, a sexual relationship, with a second teenage boy.
Okay, so, excuse me. If you're going to give these women punishments, the punishment has to suit the crime. Not only did she do it once, they're now saying that she did it twice. Who knows which one she got pregnant by? And who knows how long of a time span that this was going on? Like, this is only one story.
Who had been a student at her school And guess what happened this time? She became pregnant. Yes. While Joines' relationship with this second victim, known in court documents as Boy B, was not illegal by the time she got pregnant, their relationship started when he was 15. And according to testimony, Joines revealed the pregnancy to Boy B with a series of surprises, which culminated in her handing him a baby onesie with the words, "Best Dad" on it. That's
some
how she
wild
told
stuff.
him. Now, Joines had testified during her trial that she only became sexually attracted to Boy B after he reached legal age. She was arrested for the second time after that date night, if you even want to call it, where she announced her pregnancy. She was found guilty in May of 2024 and sentenced last week to 6.5 years behind bars. She cried, shook in Manchester Crown Court as Judge Kate Cornell handed down the punishment. Judge Cornell said in court, "There is a breathtaking arrogance in your conduct. You were the adult.
True.
You were the person in control, the person who
Fact.
should have known better and entrusted by the school and the boys and by their parents of caring for their sons. Instead, you abused that position of trust and exploited the privileged role for your own sexual gratification." Judge Cornell also made the point that 15-year-old boys are no less vulnerable than girls. Equally, a female teacher is
Very
capable
true.
of behaving as manipulatively as a male teacher. Well, Boy A did
Wise
not
words from
submit
the
a victim
judge.
impact statement. Boy B did, and I will tell you right now, it is heartbreaking. He said,
Now let's see
"I
what
was
he had to
coerced,
say.
controlled, manipulated, sexually abused, and mentally abused. It is very upsetting that this has happened to me. The months after the abuse happened to me was a very dark time. I felt backed into a corner. I just lived a double life for 18 months behind my family's back." He goes on to state, "One of the hardest things I had to deal with in this time was not being able to be involved in the pregnancy. Social services contacted me in October and told me that Rebecca had refused to let them update me about anything, including..."
Wait. How is this possible? First of all, if this lady is a criminal now in the eyes of the law, a two-time criminal on top of that, she got pregnant with the kid, and now she can withhold information about the child from the father. That is insane. Like, where on earth does this make sense? Man, look, we got to change some of these laws. This is crazy.
Due date, gender, health updates. The thought of not being able to see my child was heartbreaking. It was revealed during trial that the child was taken from Joines within 24 hours of being born. The statement from this Boy B goes on to state, "I now also really struggle with the idea of going into another relationship due to the negative experience I've gone through with Rebecca.
I bet.
Ultimately, I will forever be Rebecca's victim and forever linked to her through our child." All right, we're going to get back to this story and really what a story it is, but back to the
School teacher
Here's
enters a
another
plea
one.
in her sex abuse case involving 3 different students in Iowa. We have the latest developments in Cassidy Krause's case
I don't
and the
understand,
punishment
like-
she's facing with trial attorney Florina Altschuler.
These women don't
Welcome
look
to Sidebar, presented by
terrible.
Law and Crime.
How are
Jesse
they
Weber.
finding themselves in these situations?
Fortunately, we got another one. Yeah, this time it is Cassidy Krause, a 24-year-old ex-teacher taught in the IKM Manning School District of Manning, Iowa, and she has just pled guilty to sexually abusing minors. Let me tell you, what a roller coaster of a ride this has been over the last year. So in July of 2023, Krause got married, but just 1 month
Hold
later,
on. Hold the phone. So you telling me this lady just got married, and then she turns around and deals with a kid? Like, imagine how her husband feels. Like, imagine how not only you being associated with that person and the embarrassment that brings to you, but also the idea of your wife picking a child over you, and that's not your child. What is going on? Like, in a romantic sense as well. Excuse me. Even though it's disgusting, I'm just saying, like, that's still insanity. But let's
in
go.
August, reports came to light that she was engaging in inappropriate sex acts with minors who were just 13 and 14 years old. By September, her husband Zachary had filed to have the marriage dissolved by the courts. In October of 2023, Krause was arrested and charged with 1 count of third-degree sexual abuse, 2 counts of lascivious acts with a child that included fondling or touching, and 3 counts of dissemination and exhibition of obscene material to minors. That brings us to January
That's a whole lot of
2024,
stuff.
when Kraus entered a guilty plea to all 6 counts. The charges stem from incidents in 2022 and 2023 when the middle school reading teacher sent inappropriate messages to 3 minor-aged boys over Snapchat. That's where the dissemination
Well, that
of obscene
Snapchat thing
material
get you
comes
in trouble.
Kraus admitted that in May of 2022, when she was 22 years old, she fondled a 13-year-old boy and touched her genitals to his body. Those make up the other charges. And she admitted that in January of 2023, just months before her wedding,
13.
she performed.
All right, hold on, man. 13, you're barely developed at 13. Like, physically, you're barely there. Like, forget the mental aspect. Like, you don't even know how to wipe your behind correctly as a 13-year-old boy. Like, you don't know what's the... This is crazy.
Sex acts on a 14-year-old boy, which is why she was hit with that sexual abuse charge, more specifically.
My goodness.
According to the IKM Manning School District,
Anyways,
the school
no
got a
time.
report that Kraus had sent multiple sex photos to students. She was put on leave, but then resigned instead of being fired. The school board accepted her resignation. It's been
They did
reported that
something.
Kraus had actually attended school in that same district when she was growing up, then later came back to teach after attending Iowa State University. Now she could face up to 33 years in prison, and she has a sentencing hearing
That
set
sounds
for
like a
March
right
11th
sentence.
in Carroll County, Iowa. Let's talk about this more with trial attorney.
Judge
right,
says
here we
there's
go
enough
again.
evidence to take a Wisconsin teacher to trial after she was accused of making out with an 11-year-old boy.
What
We
are
got our
they
hands on the
doing?
criminal complaint against her, and we learned why her defense team says at least one of the serious charges should be thrown out. The problem is, she alleged.
Did you hear what the age was, man? Did y'all hear what the age was? 11 years old. Now, we know the whole trope about men and how they're so dangerous and, creepy. And while there is truth to that with some men, 11 years old is crazy. Like, what are you doing?
Traded over 33,000 text messages with this child.
33,000?
We're it all with an attorney who specializes in sexual abuse cases.
I don't even have that much to say to nobody.
Law and Crime, Jesse Weber. We have quite the follow-up on a story that we did of a former teacher accused of making out with an 11-year-old. What a statement that is. So when we first brought this story to you, we're talking about when Madison Bergman was first charged back in May. She faced one charge: sexual contact with a child under the age of 13. But after an amended complaint was submitted in August, Bergman's preliminary hearing this week featured 10 charges. Sexual contact with a child under age 13, use of a computer to facilitate a child sex crime, 2 counts of child enticement, 5 counts of sexual misconduct by school staff, and exposing children to harmful conditions. By the way, to give you an idea, the sexual assault charge, the sexual contact charge, carries up to 60 years in prison. I want to bring in attorney David Ring, who specializes in abuse cases, to talk more about this. David, good to see you. First, you're not surprised, I'd imagine, to see upgraded charges. Does that usually happen in these kinds of cases?
I'm not surprised at all. I think what happens is, the investigators want to get her charged quickly, and they have one count or a couple counts so they can get her arrested and charged. And then as they continue.
Man, look, they about to go back and forth and do all this stuff. I'm not really into the litigation side of it. But I just want to bring it to light how devious and how calculated these actions are. And I hope that in the future, the justice system will take these cases a lot more seriously, because you see it with men, they don't play. They don't play those games with men. Like, if you don't act right if you want to, they'll get you right up out of here. And I just realized, man, like, when it comes to how they are sentencing some of these women, it's just not really what it needs to be, especially with, like I said, if you go the extra mile and get pregnant by the kid, that should have been another 10 years on top of that. Like, that's crazy. Neither here nor there, though. If you guys like what you saw, please don't be afraid to hit the like button. If you guys feel like I deserve the sub, hit the sub button, and I will catch you guys later.